Unscripted Heartbeats, the real story behind Yulong und young Miemie hidden chemistry.
It started like any ordinary day on set, bright lights, script in hand, and a crew running on caffeine and chaos. But destiny doesn't wait for perfection. Young Miemie, dressed in flowing white, twirled mid-scene and stumbled, straight into Yulong's arms. What could have been an awkward blooper transformed into a breathtaking pause. His hand steadied her waist, her laughter filled the silence, and for a heartbeat, the world forgot it was fiction.
The camera captured it all by chance.
That single unscripted moment, raw and pure, spread like wildfire. Within hours, social media buzzed with captions like, "This isn't acting, it's fate." Audiences didn't just see chemistry, they saw vulnerability. And in that vulnerability, they found something they'd been craving: authenticity. Yulong and young Miemie weren't just co-stars, they became a cultural rhythm. Over time, every project they shared seemed to evolve into something more intimate, almost spiritual. Viewers dissected every detail: the way their eyes met, the slight tremor before a smile, the hush that followed each touch. This wasn't typical celebrity gossip, it was collective obsession. Fans began to build timelines, theories, even digital archives to prove their connection was real. Suddenly, behind-the-scenes footage became more popular than the scenes themselves. When audiences watched them, they weren't watching scripted characters, they were watching two souls collide in real time. Their chemistry wasn't manufactured, it was magnetic, uncontrollable, and possibly the most captivating partnership in modern Asian entertainment. One exhausting afternoon, endless retakes blurred the line between acting and fatigue. Young Miemie struggled to keep composure, laughter kept interrupting takes. Then, Yulong did something no director could have planned. He leaned in and gently wiped a spot of cream from her nose.
The crew froze. The director whispered, "Keep rolling."
That small gesture became a symbol of care, the kind that no scriptwriter could invent. The cream wasn't even meant for that day, it just happened. When fans saw that clip, they didn't see actors, they saw connection, instinct, affection disguised as professionalism. That single wipe said more than 1,000 rehearsed lines. It was intimate without trying, natural without intention. And it reminded everyone watching, sometimes, emotion doesn't need words, it just needs honesty. In an industry obsessed with control, lighting, timing, even emotion, their unpredictability felt like rebellion. Young Miemie once grabbed Yulong's tie during an argument scene. No one told her to. The spark in her eyes, the tension in his posture, it was real. The director didn't stop them. Instead, he rewrote the next scenes around that emotion. Moments like these blurred the border between script and spontaneity. They reminded viewers that human chemistry can't be rehearsed. Every flinch, every unscripted sigh felt like a heartbeat leaking through the fiction. Gen Z audiences call it emotional authenticity. And that's exactly what this duo delivered: raw, imperfect, electric. It wasn't rebellion against professionalism, it was rebellion against pretense. What makes them so magnetic isn't what happens on camera, it's what happens in between. When young Miemie fumbles her lines, Yulong quietly passes her water without a word. When the director resets the lights, they share a pair of earbuds, humming the same tune. Their body language has its own grammar: a nod, a smirk, a pause. It's the kind of communication that doesn't need dialogue. The camera sometimes catches these fleeting moments, but fans have trained their eyes to spot them: a secret smile, a shared breath. These fragments become fan language, decoded and analyzed online. They've built a world within a world, a rhythm only they can hear. And that silent understanding is what keeps audiences coming back, searching for meaning between frames. Of course, success invites skepticism. Critics argue their closeness is calculated, a marketing strategy wrapped in emotion. But the truth feels more layered. You can choreograph a dance, but you can't choreograph pulse. What draws millions to Yulong and young Miemie isn't scandal, it's sincerity. Their on-set behavior, the way they shield each other from exhaustion or share quiet laughter during breaks, speaks to something deeply human. Whether real romance or artistic synchronicity, it touches a nerve. They embody what today's audience longs for: real emotion in an artificial world. Even if part of it is illusion, people choose to believe, because belief itself is a form of hope. And that's the secret currency of modern fame. Behind every smile and glance are two professionals, but also two fragile individuals navigating pressure, expectation, and rumor. Yulong's calm exterior hides an intensity that fans describe as quiet fire. He's precise, deliberate, the kind of actor who lives in silence before he speaks. Miemie, in contrast, is sunlight personified, impulsive, warm, and unafraid to break the rhythm if her heart says so. Together, they balance like yin and yang. He steadies her, she softens him. It's less about romance and more about resonance, two personalities harmonizing in unpredictable ways. That's why their interactions fascinate audiences. It's not about what they do, it's about what they reveal, the vulnerability of being human under a spotlight too bright to hide in. Every time a director yells cut, most actors drop character. But for these two, the scene never really ends. There's footage of them staying in quiet conversation long after filming stops. No lines, just laughter, nods, glances. It's as if they're speaking in a language that doesn't need translation. Crew members have called it the calm after the storm, where energy lingers, unsaid but alive. And maybe that's why audiences can't stop watching. It's not the scripted endings that move us, it's the lingering emotion that refuses to fade. Theirs isn't a love story written on paper. It's one whispered in real time, between seconds, between breaths. And maybe that's the magic, the kind that can't be edited out. Their connection isn't just entertainment, it's a mirror. It shows us how authenticity resonates more deeply than perfection ever could. In an age of filters, polished PR, and algorithmic romance, they remind us what raw humanity feels like. For actors, their chemistry is a lesson, you can't fake truth. For viewers, it's hope, that somewhere between chaos and control, genuine emotion still exists. The reason people dissect every frame isn't curiosity, it's hunger. Hunger for moments that remind us we're alive. They show that love, friendship, and artistry don't have to be separate. Sometimes they merge, creating something that lingers long after the lights go out. Maybe the real reason their story captivates us is because it scratches that universal itch, the desire to witness something real. We've seen enough perfect romances on screen, enough polished smiles. But here, between two imperfect people, we glimpse sincerity. Every shared glance becomes a heartbeat. Every laugh becomes an echo of what we crave, connection. We keep watching because they make us feel something we've almost forgotten, the thrill of unscripted humanity. And perhaps that's why Yulong and Miemie aren't just trending names, they're symbols of a rare truth. When art stops pretending, it becomes life. And when life slips into art, that's when magic happens. Thank you for spending your time with us here at LVT-SHOWBIZ, where stories breathe and emotions live. If this deep dive into Yulong and Miemie's connection touched you, please subscribe, like, and share this video. Comment below, do you think what we're seeing is real emotion, or the finest illusion in showbiz?
Your voice matters. Vi rit wer comment. Until next time, stay curious, stay passionate, and never stop searching for the truth behind the spotlight.
This is LVT-SHOWBIZ, signing off, where we don't just tell stories, we feel them.